Welcome to the #1 podcast for the business of behavioral health. I am your host, Arthur Hairston. We are the go-to show for executives, aspiring and current entrepreneurs entering the mental health care field. Our goal or mission is to empower the next generation of behavioral health entrepreneurs. I believe with the right systems and knowledge, passionate people can pursue a successful entrepreneurial journey in the business of behavioral health. This feels so good. This is our first episode. And, for this one, I just want to let you guys get to know who I am. I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a son. And I just enjoy talking about behavioral health, especially the entrepreneurial side of it. I have, successfully exited an ABA business, which is applied behavioral analysis, and now I co-own a group home for kids with autism with my wife, and of course we're going to have her on here too, so we can make sure we, tell you about the group home and what that's like. But I'm just so excited just to get, my knowledge out to the world about behavioral health, because it's slowly coming to the forefront, but we still don't necessarily talk about it all the time, which is, mental health. Just to give you a little bit about my background, special education is what I went to school for. Can't believe it, but I went undergrad and I went grad school because, I thought I was going to be a principal. Life has a way of showing you what you're really going to do. So I was a dean of students, and a friend told me about this cool thing called applied behavior analysis. And I think what struck me most was it was working with kids one-on-one compared to in a group setting. And being a dean of students, the kids kind of looked at you differently than when you were just, the exceptional student teacher or special education teacher. I was cool then, but once you become a dean, you're an admin, they look at you different. So I wasn't really enjoying that, and I just couldn't see myself doing that long term. So I left, went to go work at a clinic working with kids with autism and other diagnoses. I did that for a little while, and then ended up doing in-home ABA therapy. And again, ABA is applied behavior analysis. And when I started in the home, I had a lot of aggressive cases. And I'm here in Florida, so we call it the Baker Act, where kids can voluntarily be taken to the mental hospital just because of the behaviors that they're showing. And I was running to a lot of that. So the place I was working said, hey, we have a need at this group home. I didn't know what a group home was. I was, a little bit nervous. I've only seen it on TV. I've heard a few stories. Had nothing positive. So I went, and I remember walking to the house, and I look around, and I'm like, wow, this is just like any other home. We had different kids there, some kids with autism, some with Down syndrome, some kids were there because of sexual behaviors. So it was a good range of behaviors and people there. And these are kids. So, I would, work with the clients that I was assigned to. And I just remember just being there saying, wow, we need more of these, especially here in the, state of Florida. It's such a huge need. So I do that, at the same time I'm taking these classes to become a board certified behavior analyst. It took about a year and a half, take the classes, get all the hours, and, then you have to take this exam. I thought I was a good test taker, but it took me 6 times, so 2 years. But, I finally passed off, and this is in February 20th of 2020, the doomsday year, some people may say. But I passed, got an offer from a place I used to work to come be a behavior analyst. And, I guess I was actually teaching at this time because I had gone back to the classroom. And I remember I left right when the kids were going on spring break to start this new job. And the kids never went back after that. But I was already gone. I'm working at the clinic, working with kids. And my clinical director, he would just say 4 days out of, a 5-day work week, Arthur, you could do this. You just need X amount of clients. You could really do this and make a change, have your own agency. I'm looking at him like, I just passed this exam. I don't know anything really about business. I'm still learning, my role. But he continued to say that for 2 months. So, gets in my head. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to look into this. I started looking into this, attended a webinar. And I remember on the webinar, I asked a question. Nobody responded to it. But somebody, this is through Facebook, they DM'd me and said, I think I may be able to help you. And again, this is 2020, so there's a lot of scamming going on. So, I look up this person and I see, oh, they have a clinic out in California. You know what? I need to take a chance. I've been working on this thing called Mindset. And I reached out, and I guess the rest is history. We started in September of 2020. By January, I think, that was like our last session. We met twice a month. And, this person, I consider a mentor, a friend, Lakeisha Cobb Hayes. Man, she just changed the trajectory for, my life, career, my family's trajectory. I started this agency, took our first client May of 2021. And we had a great run. And then, the following year, the thought of a group home came up, and business was doing well, you could say. So we were able to purchase a home with some land. We have 3.6 acres that we purchased. We fixed it up, because this is a licensed group home that me and my wife own. So we got the fire sprinklers, fire alarms. And we just went through this process again, the paperwork and getting licensed. And around that time, that's when I kind of realized that if this is going to work, I need to focus on one thing. I can't run an ABA business and a group home. It was a lot. So I worked with a company, and we got an interested buyer, and I was able to just, let that go and move on to what I'm doing now, being a co-owner, or I think I'm the assistant director. My wife is the director because she handles that paperwork, which I told her when I went full time, I don't want to touch this paperwork, all this HR, payroll stuff, everything that I used to do with the last company. So it works out perfectly. I focus on the staff and the kids. But that's just kind of a little bit of, my history. We were able to do some amazing things, with the ABA business, make a lot of connections within the mental health field. And that's where I kind of learned that's where my passion is, especially when I'm able to connect people, whether they're a parent that's looking to get their child services, or maybe it's, one mental health therapist, psychologist that needs referrals, or they're looking for people that need this kind of work. I love to connect people. Being a connector is just something, so special. And so those are some of the things and some of the people that I, plan to bring on over time and interview, just so they can tell their story. But, the other reason of doing this podcast is, I want to motivate, the person that's at home. They've been thinking about, this business. Can I do it? And I know it comes to that mindset. And I want to be able to motivate them to know that, yes, you can do this, because I was scared as all going into entrepreneurship, starting that first business. I remember our first call, well, my first call with Lakeisha. She had some other entrepreneurs on there, and we're all introducing ourselves. And I said, well, I'm here, but I don't plan on, starting until, April, and this is September. And one person on there, they looked at the, looked at the screen. I felt like they were just looking dead at me and said, then what are you here for? We're here to execute. And my mind went, psh. I'm like, whoo, I need to hear that. Put some fire under me. And I was inspired just to execute. That's what it's all about, because it's so easy to, say what you're going to do, but to actually do it, man, there's no need to wait. You just need to start. I almost went through the same thing just starting this podcast. I bought this equipment last year. A whole year later, I'm finally, like, hey, I got to do this. I got to get my voice out there. I got to, let other people know that, yes, you can start this business. One of the things I kind of realized working in the ABA field, a lot of times some parents become stay-at-home parents because, their kids have a lot of special needs and might even be medically also necessary that they stay home. And you have parents that can, have their own kind of, special needs business, whether it's ABA or not. Maybe it's just, some type of childcare that they can offer, but they can start this business. And that's who I'm speaking to, whether it's a mom, dad, uncle, whoever you are to somebody with special needs. I want you to know that, yes, you can do this. Let me be that guiding voice to you. So that is, our first episode, just an introduction. I can't wait to, take a deeper dive into different businesses as we continue this journey. I am Arthur Hairston, and you have listened to your first episode of the Behavioral Business Blueprint.